El Camino Real is a Spanish name that literally means the King's Highway. It is a 600-mile-long, commemorative route connecting the 21 Spanish missions in California. Previously known as Alta California, it was ruled by the Spanish Empire. The original route connected Mission Loreto in Baja California Sur in Mexico with San Francisco. Between 1683 and 1835, Jesuit and Franciscan missionaries established a series of religious outposts to facilitate overland travel. These missions were approximately 30 miles apart and could easily be traveled in one day to the next outpost. It was decided to place distinctive bells, hung on a shepherd's crook, along the route to symbolize a Franciscan walking stick and mission bell. There were 450 built and placed along the route for motorists to follow. Eventually, many of them disappeared due to vandalism and theft. The state took over bell maintenance in 1933, and after a reduction in bells to around only 80 left, the state started replacing them with concrete and iron. 555 new El Camino Real bells were reinstalled by Caltrans by 2005. It is no longer a horse and wagon trail. Some of it is now named Highway 101 and Highway 1. The El Camino Real is designated as California Historical Landmark number 784. There are only 2 markers honoring the route. One near Mission San Diego, and the other near Mission San Francisco.
Mission San Francisco de Solano marks the end of the Mission Trail. This 21st and last mission was founded on July 4, 1823 in what is today the city of Sonoma. The mission is the only mission founded after Mexico's independence from Spain. Here, the first bear flag was raised over California on July 14, 1846, declaring California's independence from Mexico. San Francisco de Solano was destroyed by the earthquake in 1906 but has been fully restored.
The evolution of California is quite evident at Mission San Francisco de Asis. Located in the downtown Mission district of San Francisco. This mission was founded on June 29, 1776 by Father Serra, just 5 days before the Declaration of Independence was signed on the other side of what would become the United States of America. It was founded 6th in the mission chain. Officially named after Saint Francis of Assisi, founder of the Franciscan Order, the mission seems overwhelmed by the burgeoning city of San Francisco and dwarfed by its neighbor, Mission Dolores Basilica, built 100 years after the mission in 1876. San Francisco de Asis is often called Mission Dolores, due to its close proximity to a nearby creek named Arroyo de los Dolores. Having survived the Great Earthquake and Fire of 1906, the Mission Church is the oldest intact building in the city of San Francisco and the only intact mission chapel in the chain of 21 established under the direction of Father Serra. The mission's simple exterior belies its sophisticated and detailed interior, enhanced by the magnificent ceiling painted by the Indians with vegetable-based paint. The church altar at Mission Dolores features several statues of the saints for whom the missions were named. This stunning and richly decorated interior is one of the most striking in the mission chain. The cemetery of Mission Dolores contains remnants of mission history, including a statue of Father Serra. The mission was plagued by disease and high mortality rates among the Indian population. In fact, by 1832, more than 5,000 Indians had died at the mission. Some blame the high death rate on European diseases, such as smallpox and measles, for which the Indians had no immunity.
Mission Santa Clara is number 8 in the chain. and founded on January 12, 1777, lies adjacent to the oldest college in California, the University of Santa Clara. It is here that Father Serra broke tradition, choosing the first woman to serve as patron saint, Saint Clare of Assisi, who founded the Poor Clare's Order of Nuns. Like many in the mission chain, Mission Santa Clara has suffered from its share of flooding, earthquakes and fires. Originally built alongside the Guadalupe River, a flood made the mission's location inadvisable. An interim site was used with a more permanent third location blessed by Father Serra on November 19, 1781. An 1818 earthquake severely damaged the mission, resulting in a temporary adobe church near the present site. After secularization, transforming the mission system from religious to civil governance, the building was purchased by the university and razed in 1867. Construction began on the fifth and final site in 1822. However, a 1926 fire ravaged through Mission Santa Clara, causing the church to be remodeled for a final time. Only this adobe wall and lodge remain after the fire. The present church is bright and grand. The facade returned to its original one-tower design, embellished with carved wooden statues of the saints. Interior walls were painted in pastel pink and blue, and careful copies were made of the destroyed reredos and Augustine de Villa's painted ceiling. The mission bell tower uses 4 bells, cast in 1798, 1799, 1805, and one in 1929, a gift from Spain's King Alfonso XIII. This cross contains pieces of Mission Santa Clara's original cross, which stood outside the previous 5 churches. One of the last churches to be secularized, Mission Santa Clara experienced a period of U.S. occupation, before the land was given to a Jesuit order and transformed into a university campus. This school, Santa Clara University, was founded in 1851.
15th in the chain, Mission San Juan Bautista was founded by Father Lejeune on June 24, 1797, the feast day of John the Baptist, patron saint of the mission. Just as the mission has been preserved, so too has the charming city in which it stands. Modeled after a Spanish town, some 30 historic buildings occupy the area surrounding the mission, offering visitors a look at what life was like during the mission era. The mission sits in Plaza San Juan Bautista. The Plaza Hotel, dating back to 1814, served as the mission barracks. The Zenetta House, or the Plaza Hall, dates back to 1868. The Plaza Stable was built in 1874 to serve as a stopover for travelers. Mission San Juan Bautista is in the unfortunate position of being on the San Andreas Fault. The powerful earthquake of 1906 ruined the outer church walls and other buildings. Near the mission stands an unspoiled section of the famous El Camino Real, or King's Highway. Located just beyond the cemetery wall is a marker showing the direction the road took, connecting the 21 missions, 650 miles in total, from San Diego to San Rafael. San Juan Bautista boasts the only 3-aisle church among all of the missions. The archways, which separate the center from the side aisles, were destroyed in the 1812 earthquake. The fathers then filled in the 2 side aisles. However, church restoration in 1975 allowed the side aisles to be reopened, returning the church to its original 3-aisle design. Much of the church remains as it had in 1812, with the main altar reredos and boltis needing little restoration. You can still see animal prints in the floor tiles, that were made while the tiles were left outside to dry in the sun. The church also plays host to the largest and most complete collection of apostolate paintings in the mission chain. Like most California missions, the mission San Juan Bautista supported itself and the native inhabitants of the area by growing crops of wheat and corn. Grapes were cultivated in a vineyard. They also raised herds of horses and cattle. In 1819, the peak year for livestock, the mission recorded a total of 31,000 animals including cattle, sheep, horses, and mules. The agricultural success of the mission sparked a huge trade industry to grow up around San Juan that included hides, tallow, and other farm products.
Mission San Carlos Borromeo de Carmelo, also called Mission Carmel, is the second of the mission chain and the personal favorite of Father Junipero Serra. Founded on June 3, 1770, it was named after St. Charles Borromeo, a 16th century Archbishop of Milan. The church at present-day Mission Carmel is a fitting tribute to its founder. Father Serra's last wish was for a new, stone church to replace the original adobe chapel. It took Father Lejeune 14 years to fulfill Father Serra's dream. The new church was completed in 1797. Outside, the mission garden commemorates the 200th anniversary of Father Serra's death. Near the church is a smaller chapel, frequently used for prayer. Mission Carmel was the center of the mission activity of Junipero Serra, and for this reason, many beautiful artifacts of silver and bronze can be found here. One of the most popular artifacts is the Serra Memorial Cenotaph, made of travertine, marble, and bronze. This monument depicts 4 missionaries, including Father Serra. All 4 of the men depicted are buried under the church sanctuary. From the standpoint of government, Mission Carmel was the most important, serving as the headquarters for the entire mission chain from 1770 to 1803. The fathers, though, did take time away from their administrative duties to engage in scholarly works. California's first library was started here and has grown substantially from the 30 books it contained in 1778. When the missions were secularized in 1834, the fathers lost control of the mission and it fell into disrepair. The land was sold and the mission was neglected for 30 years. The church stood with no roof until restoration efforts began in 1884, bringing this grand structure back to its earlier beauty. Mission Carmel was made a minor basilica by Pope John XXIII. In 1960, the Carmel Mission Basilica is the final resting place of St. Junipero Serra. On August 28, 1784, Father Junipero Serra died here and he is buried in sanctuary floor of the basilica. His body, however, has not rested in peace. On 4 different occasions, his remains have been removed for examination in the process of sainthood. Father Serra oversaw the planning of each mission from Carmel. He established 9 Catholic missions in California Indian regions. Serra was canonized as a saint of the Catholic Church by Pope Francis.
Mission Soledad, founded in 1791 by Father Lejeune, was built to assist the other missions of Northern California. The Spanish word soledad means solitude or loneliness. Built in the sparsely populated area of Central California. The feeling of isolation is evident, but founder Father Lejeune didn't name the mission after its surroundings, rather to glorify Our Lady of Solitude, one of the sacred names for the Virgin Mary. Speculation abounds as to whether its number 13 in the chain is related to the bad luck it has experienced. Massive floods from the Salinas River ravaged the mission many times. These grounds, still scattered with the ruins of the mission's adobe walls that once stretched the entire complex, a constant reminder of how difficult life must have been at this remote and desolate mission. The church, originally located at the east end of the Padres' quarters, was destroyed by floods in 1828. Rebuilt in 1832, this quite simple chapel depicts the religious tone surrounding Mission Soledad. Although a replica bell now occupies the wooden beam to the left of the church entrance, the original mission bell can be found inside the museum. Like all missions, the 14 stations of the cross adorn the walls of the mission church. Each church has a different version of the 14 stations, or the journey of Jesus to Golgotha where he was crucified. These 14 religious symbols are rare originals. After the flood of 1828, the mission was hit by an epidemic which killed off many of the Indians. Then, Father Vicente Francisco de Soria died, causing many Indians to leave in hopes of finding a better life elsewhere. Secularization was particularly hard on Mission Soledad. With the property serving as a ranch house, a grocery store and then a restaurant, eventually sitting abandoned for almost 100 years until it was sold in 1946 for a mere $800. Eventually, the land was returned to the Catholic Church and a restoration effort began with the help of the native daughters of the Golden West. The group restored the small chapel and the wing, which now serves as the Mission Museum. Mission Soledad, small in size, but still a well-maintained part of California history.
Father Fermin Lejeune founded Mission San Miguel, the 16th mission, on July 25, 1797. The site, in an isolated valley on the Salinas River, was chosen as a way to close the gap between Mission San Antonio de Padua to the north and Mission San Luis Obispo to the south. A fire in 1806 destroyed a temporary church that was built in 1797. Preparations soon began for the new church, which was constructed out of tile and adobe blocks. The large church, with walls 6 feet thick, was completed in 1818. The bright and vibrant interior frescoes of the church were painted by native Indians under the supervision of Esteban Manras of Catalonia, Spain. The inside of the church has never been repainted. The pictures and murals we see today are original and considered to be the most authentic and well-preserved in the mission chain. Outside the church stands the mission cemetery where 2,000 Indians lie alongside a bronze statue of Christ. The Mission Museum features a 16th-century Spanish wood carving of the mission patron saint, Saint Michael, victorious over Lucifer. The garden corridor is 230 feet square and includes 3 sides of the mission quadrangle. Meanwhile, the nearby bell tower stands as it did in the early 1800s. Between 1845 and 1870, secularization tore apart the complex as the mission property was distributed among the Indians. Surrounding buildings, except the church and priest quarters, were sold to individuals. Mission rooms were converted to commercial stores such as hotels, offices, and saloons. On the morning of December 22, 2003, the Central California coast was hit by a powerful earthquake. Mission San Miguel, just 35 miles from the epicenter, was severely damaged. Numerous cracks appeared in the mission's walls, rendering the building off-limits to the public. On October 2, 2009, following extensive renovations, the church along with the cemetery marked its public reopening. Considered one of the 11 most endangered places by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, full preservation of the mission compound is ongoing.
Established late in the mission era and the last of the Southern California missions, Mission Santa Ynez was dedicated number 19 in the chain on September 17, 1804 by Father Esteban Tapis. Named after Saint Agnes and nestled in the Santa Ynez Valley, the mission's proximity to the Danish town of Solvan makes for an interesting blend of cultures. The mission was originally going to be located in California's interior near the San Joaquin Valley, but the plan was abandoned. Designated Mission of the Passes, to arrive at Mission Santa Ynez, visitors had to battle the San Marcos Pass, take the Refugio Pass or the Gaviota Pass, otherwise known as El Camino Real. This isolation discouraged visitors to Santa Ynez, and consequently the mission's social life was limited. Prosperity at Mission Santa Ynez was halted by several occurrences, such as the Great Earthquake of 1812 and the Chumash Revolt of 1824, when the Indians aggressively protested treatment by the military guards. During secularization, the mission was rented to the Covarrubias family for $580 a year. The mission's Madonna Chapel, featuring its bright and vibrant colors, has benefited from dedicated restorations. Begun by Father Alexander Buckler in 1904, ongoing repairs to the mission have allowed Santa Ynez to recapture the splendor of its earlier days. Buckler enlisted his niece, Mame Goulet, to restore the mission's art investment collections that today make up an extensive museum. As in mission days, the church remains an active parish and the surrounding countryside is a popular wine region.
Founded on December 4, 1786 by Father Lejeune and named after Saint Barbara, Mission Santa Barbara is known as the Queen of the Missions. Originally scheduled to open 4 years earlier by Father Serra, disagreements between the church and state on how the mission should operate delayed the grand opening until after Serra's death. Mission Santa Barbara began full operation a short time after its nearby Presidio, which housed the soldiers and served as one of 4 military fortresses in California. With striking views of the Pacific, Mission Santa Barbara truly complements the adjoining beachfront community. Its location, centrally between the missions of the North and South, and accessibility by sea, set the stage for Santa Barbara to play a key role in the ultimate development of California, and later would become headquarters of all the missions. Santa Barbara housed the first California bishop, Francisco Garcia Diego y Moreno, who was installed in 1842. As a result, Mission Santa Barbara enjoyed the status of a pro-cathedral church. Garcia Diego is buried in the mission sanctuary of the church, along with 4,000 Chumash Indians. Also in the cemetery are mausoleums, or burial tombs of Santa Barbara's early Spanish families. Mission Santa Barbara, along with Mission San Luis Rey, is one of only 2 missions continuously operated by the Franciscans since its founding. Originally the mission was for the Indians, while the soldiers and their families went to the Presidio Church in downtown Santa Barbara. After 1850, Mission Santa Barbara became more of a center of worship for the people of Santa Barbara. Following the devastation of several original adobe structures by earthquakes, the church at Mission Santa Barbara was rebuilt of stone between 1812 and 1820, and restored again after the earthquake of 1925. The statues above the altar were brought to Santa Barbara from Mexico. Outside the church are the unique twin towers of Mission Santa Barbara. Originally built with 1 tower, the second tower was added in 1831. 6 bells hang within the church towers, each one dedicated to a saint and bearing the inscription of the cross. This elaborate facade often serves as a colorful background for community events, as it did in the early mission days.
Founded on March 31, 1782, Mission San Buenaventura is 9th in the mission chain, last to be founded during Father Serra's lifetime and one of 6 he personally dedicated. The mission was constructed as part of the Santa Barbara Channel section, which included missions at Santa Barbara and La Purísima, and El Presidio in Santa Barbara. The Fathers, who already had 3 missions in the north and 3 in the southern part of California, feared an Indian revolt in the state's midsection. They thought an Indian revolt could be devastating, because of the area's terrain. The mountains of the Santa Barbara Channel Zone gracefully slope downward to the ocean, leaving little room for passage. The missionaries feared that angry Indians could easily divide the state, limiting the Spaniards to communication by sea. The revolt never happened, and Mission San Buenaventura continued as a large agricultural producer. The Indians of the area were Chumash, who covered the area from Ventura northward to San Luis Obispo. The Chumash were the most advanced of all the mission tribes. Using canoes, such as this replica of the plank canoe, the Chumash often journeyed to the Santa Barbara Channel Islands, up to 65 miles from the mainland. The Chumash excelled at basket making, a measure frequently used by the Spaniards to judge the intelligence of an Indian tribe. The Indians used the baskets for cooking, trapping fish, and carrying water. Under the direction of Padre Cambon, natives constructed a 7-mile aqueduct that brought water from the Ventura River to this water filtration building. It was appropriately named El Caballo, which means horse in Spanish, because the spout was said to have resembled a horse's head. El Caballo later inspired terror and scorn when it was converted into a jail. Unique to Mission San Buenaventura are these wooden bells. They were used during Holy Week, between Palm Sunday and Easter, while the metal bells were silent. While they are certainly originals, their origins are a mystery. After a series of earthquakes and an accompanying tidal wave in 1812, the church has been beautifully restored. It contains a 400-year-old crucifix from the Philippines. In the center above the tabernacle is Saint Bonaventure, patron of the mission. The church also highlights a shrine of Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe. This is a Vatican-licensed marble cast of Michelangelo's masterpiece Pietà. Michelangelo was commissioned on August 27, 1498 and carved it out of a single block of Carrara marble he chose himself. The replica here came from the same quarry. It is so lifelike that you can almost feel the curls of the hair, and his veins in the arms seem to still be holding blood. It is remarkable that a block of stone can become this magnificent work of art. This is the last of the missions in this series. Hope you have enjoyed the journey with us.